we are having IPOB today, it would not have happened if we have turned inside, the leadership cadre has emerged. So, but the Igbo people now come in, first of all, having a census of those who died during the war and making a record of it, and then saying, okay, we have lost the war. Young man, this is the way to go.
This is Ndigbo, the digital heritage community for over 70 million Igbos all over the world. I am your host, Nze Akachukwu Oputa Ifeade. Today, we are in the ancient kingdom of Nri, in the home of Honorable Justice Peter Umade, Eze Otosi, Oba Ifesinachi, and the former Chief Judge of Anambra State. I asked Honorable Umade, based on his versatile experiences, to speak to me on why Ndi Igbo are perceived to be rebellious. Please, welcome and listen to him.
Oba Ifesinachi. Yes, Oba Ifesinachi. No.
Oba Ifesinachi.
Yeah.
Welcome to Ndigbo.
Thank you.
Our interest today is on the issues of law.
Okay.
The British saw the Igbo as rebellious. Even Nigeria today, they see the Igbo as rebellious. Are the Igbo people rebellious?
No, they are not rebellious. They ask questions. And they like to get reasonable answers. Except maybe in the army, which you can even modify. Otherwise, no one should carry out an order that is not lawful.
No one should carry out an order that is not lawful.
No one should carry out an order that is not lawful. So that's when the Igbo man gets trapped into things like that. So that brings this wrong impression about the attitude of the Igbo man. Because he wants answers, he asks questions. And of course, questions also are not very welcome. People don't like questions. Because if you begin to explain, people begin to think that it erodes their authority. But that is the inherent thing in the Igbo mind. First of all, he will ask you questions, and you expect those questions to be, the answers to be credible, to be something he can grapple with. If it is not, it becomes difficult for the Igbo man to follow you. So if you say he's rebellious in that position, you're the one that is wrong.
Okay, so but why is the Igbo man like that?
Because I think by our nature, we try to define good and bad. Okay, let me go down to the basic and let you know. The Igbo man is the only person, and I want to say that with all sense of responsibility, and in Nigeria, only person who can give evidence against his own brother on something that he knows. For example, if his brother encroaches on your land, his uterine brother, if you bring him to a tribunal, he will say, yes, this is our boundary. I've told my brother many times to get off here that this doesn't belong to us, but he won't listen to me. That's Igbo man for you. Yeah, that's Igbo man for you.
How did we become that way?
Well, yes, the Igbo man believes in what they call retributive justice. Let me put it in that way. Talking about that, Igbo man believes in retributive justice, that what you reap, you sow. So Igbo man likes to be on the side where, let it not be his foible that ruined him. So that brings up another issue to him, which other people also misinterpret. So that's the answer.
Okay. There are some people that say that the foundation of Igbo society is based on natural law. Is that correct?
Yeah, very correct. I agree with that completely. Natural law. Because the Igbos, too, one of the many things that stand them out and which has made the Igbo stand out is that the Igbos are very observant. And I'm saying this in simple terms. The Igbos are very observant people. And it is the observance of their ancestors that taught them all they know, even before interacting with other civilizations. And that helped them to adapt. And when you're observant in that way, you begin to get closer to nature. And you begin to understand how and when things happen. And you begin to rearrange your life around all that. So the end point is that you become a man who believes that this is the sequence of things, and if you want to get the best of it, this is how to behave, or this is how not to behave, because they go together. So that may be the reason for that.
You've heard that because the Igbos always ask questions and demand credible answers, they have been misunderstood as rebellious and confrontational to authority. Now, stick with us as we explore the deeper philosophy behind Igbo justice and how the principle of what you sow is what you reap has shaped the thought pattern of Igbo society. The British brought the law, and the history that I have seen in some records show that the British brought the law on us with force of arm.
Okay.
But our forefathers, especially the Ndi dynasty, made so many laws for the Igbo people without gun, without anything.
Well, yes, the difference is this. You cannot enforce any law without sanctions.
Okay.
That you must bear in mind. Now, if you're talking about the type of sanctions that we had, the type of sanctions that we had with the Ndi dynasty, which I'm part of, is that it is something which you see and which will happen to you personally and which you would rather avoid. Nobody puts you into prison, nobody restricts you, and nobody does any such other things. Ultimately, if you do bad, in other words, remember what I said earlier, you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
So if you sow bad, you reap bad. And that's enough sanctions for you. If you know that no law or system of laws can function without sanctions, then you begin to look at what the British did when they came to Nigeria. You have to differentiate between what laws they made to make things go properly. For, I take an example, to say, this is a one-way. You shouldn't run on a one-way.
Yeah.
Because if you say this is a one-way, and you run on a one-way, you're bound to collide with people coming from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're found entering a place that should be a one-way, you may be restrained, and you may be fined, and you may be imprisoned. That is not bad in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you talk about force of arms, about invasion, about conquering the people, that's a different thing altogether.
How did Igbo society approach the matter of organizing itself and making sure that people understood certain regulations, laws of society without waving the stick on them?
Yes. Then if you say that, we have all heard and we know that the Igbo society basically is an egalitarian society, in the sense that everybody gets up in the morning trying to better himself. Of course, the Igbos had kings, which started from 900 AD with the Ezen, and that diffused amongst the Igbo. So if you look at the Igbo territory, as it were, which was quite large, taking all the Igbo-speaking areas, including all the 5 Igbo-speaking states, including the Igbo-speaking communities in the Delta, in the Rivers area. So there was a hegemony that reached them and brought order into their lives about what to do and what not to do. And then there were taboos which they obeyed. And the point is that somehow the system that the indigenous brought about had visible effects on you without anybody coming to knock on your door to tell you. It's not like there was somebody waiting for you to flog you when you come out from your house. But if you did something wrong and it began to affect you in other ways, because what you reap you sow, then you find out that if you're doing the things properly, you prosper and you live longer, and then you get fame, etc., etc. So you rather be on that way. But then, let us not miss the point that no matter what we did in that way that served us, it didn't and could not have made us richer than those who used the other system.
Okay.
That is why today when you go all over the world in the West, it's what they got from us that make their cities gleam.
Yeah, so because they were able to come and dispossess us.
Yeah, so they took our possessions and they got richer.
They got richer.
But then you can say, well, okay, they got richer with our possessions and all that. But now you can see what is happening in spite of all that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We are not worse off, and they are worse off. Mm-hmm. Because the society, with all they got from us, with all the benefits they got, with all the riches they got, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not on the same moral tone as our own,
yes.
They're finding things difficult. And then they're battling with a lot of societal ills, which we still frown at here, mm-hmm. and which we avoided, and which has made us, in the long run, a better reference point. Mm-hmm. And also, if we have good government, we can start harnessing our resources and make sure that, like Julius Nyerere said in Enugu, when I heard over the radio one time, that no African child goes to bed hungry.
Yeah.
I think this is a collective thing we must learn to do. That's very important to me.
Fantastic. Moving forward, what do you think that if you are to speak to the Igbo child who is confronted with this history and who is now growing up in Nigeria, traveling around the world, sometimes in some civilization that dispossess him, he finds that he's being discriminated upon. As a people that travel the world, Igbos, how do we deal with laws? How should we be dealing with laws while retaining our ability to observe, question, and make sure that our actions and our environment is in harmony with the law of what you sow is what you reap?
That is the diamond point for the Igbo. The Igbo are an eclectic people. What that means is this: the Igbos hold tight to their own values, and they are quick to learn and assimilate the values of other people and tend to surpass them. And that's where the enemy comes in. Other people are static, but the Igbo man is not. So, you see, the Igbo man had his own values which were very strong until it began to diminish after the Nigerian Civil War.
Honorable Mahdi has just explained to us that Igbo culture is rooted in natural law and long-established ancestral practices that maintain social order without presence or force. Stay with us. In the next segment, as the discussion shifts to how the British legal system and colonial rule undermined the development of the indigenous Igbo governance system.
So, because they have that capacity to be, like I said, eclectic, they hold on to those Christian customs they are born with, they live with, of doing good, because that good begets good. So if they come to a place where there are laws that are restrictive, of course they learn to abide by them. And also, when you are far away from home, you have to be more careful, because what you may get away with while you are at home, it may not be what will happen to you in a harsh environment where even the laws itself may be draconian, or they do not match the crime you may have committed. So, for the majority of the Igbos, that is why they stay out of trouble. Then there are many other Igbos who have fallen into trouble. And that brings me back to what I said in the beginning. You see, after the Civil War, when we lost the war, because we must call a spade, when we lost the war, the leadership cadre in Igbo land disappeared. And from my own vantage position, that leadership cadre has not reappeared. Wow. Yeah, it's still not there. Because look at what happened after the war. You come into a home, some young man has returned from the war, crestfallen about what has happened, packs his bag, leaves home for Lagos. The mother takes him as far as where he can get transport or as far as he can walk, prays for him. He doesn't know where he's going to. There is no anchor where he's going to. He's going to a wilderness. And I tell you, if out of 100 that departed home in this way, about 80% perished.
Wow.
We may be celebrating the 20% who made it, who succeeded,
came back.
but we have not taken stock of the 80% who never came back. And this is how the whole thing eroded, because there were no people here trying to guide them to what to do. I don't know if I'm taking too much time.
No, go ahead.
But you see, the issue which I have tried to say many times on national fora is this. Many of the people who are in the front line in politics here have had the opportunity at their time to remedy this, but they never did. I mean, we are having IPOB today. It would not have happened if we have turned inside, the leadership cadre has emerged, the Igbo leadership cadre, I mean, not General Gowon's 3 R's, you know what I'm saying, which is coming from outside.
Yes.
No, but the Igbo people now come in, first of all, having a census of those who died during the war and making a record of it, and then saying, okay, we have lost the war. Young men, this is the way to go. Okay, I agree. There was a time when there was a moratorium on taking in Easterners, even those who were in police. It took a long time to get their, when they were all dismissed en masse, it took a long time to get their emoluments. But then after a while, that ban was lifted. When that ban was lifted, what the Igbo leadership would have done was pacify our children, get them back into the army, into the navy, into the air force, into the civil service, into the diplomatic service, because we have boys who could do whatever anybody could do in the world. And I tell you, even look at the diplomatic service. There are many agencies all over the place, and there are people from Francophone Africa, all of them in the cadre there. The rest of them are Nigerians who are not Igbos. Igbos are dried up in all these places. So there was no concerted effort to start all over again. You can imagine what would have happened if we started all over again 50 years ago. Yeah. Today there will be no IPOB. That is the issue. And the unfortunate thing is that those who had the opportunity to do this are still in the front line of politics today. So, but this is not too late. This is a project we have to reopen and look at. And that is the answer to what you're saying.
Fantastic. This is deep. This is very deep. So, if you are to look at our society today, and you have to say, okay, this is a cadre of people, you of this type, maybe businessmen of certain type, this is the kind of thing that we need to do. How will you develop that next step of getting this initiative, if we are to take it,
to start all over again?
Yes.
Yeah. You see, that is the point. We must tell ourselves the truth. One of the truths we must tell ourselves that we lost the war. And that's where we began to fail. We lost the war. Now, losing the war is different from whether the war was proper to be taken at the time or not. That's a different thing. I agree that it was proper to be taken at that time. In life, the difference between winning that war and not winning it did not really lie in our hands. It lied in the hands of the Western world, who were more interested in the resources of Nigeria, who were more interested in Nigeria. If you read the documents by Henry Kissinger, you know the detailed report of why they had to support Nigeria, you will begin to understand that there are many other things that made you to lose the war. But put all that apart. We made a point. And it's that point, what stuck with that war wasn't the Oshoko children that evoked emotion, but it was the fortitude and the strength of the Igbos to withstand such armada for 30 months. and which, if we had some support from somewhere, would have been difficult to overcome.
Yeah. While the Igbo indigenous governance system was adjusting to the impact of colonialism and the challenge of blending with other ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, hear how the Nigerian Civil War brought more hardship and more distortion upon the Igbo society by destroying the leadership structure that once guided the people.
So, if you get that, and you came back and did what I just spoke about, but I will tell you, the leadership of the Igbos were nowhere to be seen. And they have not addressed that issue. So, like you're asking me, today is the day to begin. As I'm telling you today, people from other states use Igbo names to join the police, to join the army, as of today. The number of our young men who are in the markets, they may be making it, but let me tell you something from my experience. When I was a young lawyer in Onitsha, I got close to the command in Onitsha. At a point, I will tell you, the whole cantonment, from the colonel who was in charge, and I'm telling you this on air, from the colonel who was in charge, all the officers in the mess of that emptied in my house for a party as a lawyer or living in the GRA at Onitsha. So I'm telling you about people that I got to know. Many of those young boys now are generals, as I'm speaking now. Now, you'll find something. I'm using this to give you an example of the road we did not take.
Yeah, the road we did not take.
Now, most of those boys then were lieutenants, and when they get into the army, they are supplied with stockings, they are supplied with inner wears, they are supplied with cigarettes, they are supplied with the muftis, the khaki shirt, the trouser, and everything. And they get food free. And while they're doing that, they get married. Their wives come to live with them in the one room they give to them there at Onitsha. Now, their contemporaries in Onitsha who are not in the army, who are getting this free stuff from government. Every day, every year, every day, they have been taken care of. Then they go to school, they read accountancy, they read law, they read medicine, and they graduate. They don't find anywhere to go. They go to youth service, and then they begin to trek the streets. They don't find any jobs. They don't have a roof over their head. They don't have a car. And it goes on and on and on for years. Then how would you settle to marry? Of course, they said he was married late, but now it's compounded. Are you following it now? So where does he get the resources to organize his life? Now, before you know it, he hasn't found a job. 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years after he left school. Nothing to compare with what he should be earning. Now, look at the other part. They're in the barracks, they got everything every day, they get promoted until they get to promotion for major. That's where you have to take an exam. Because I'm familiar with that. You get promoted until you get to captain. Then in major, you have to take an examination to get promoted to major. And then when they pass, to give them the benefit of that, they pass and become major. You know what that means? So look at the parallel. So as it happens here, so it happens in others, even in the civilian sphere. Look at Abuja. I'm familiar with Abuja. We used to go to Abuja when it was growing. It was all Igbo boys who were there, who made Abuja what it is. Not outside government, working in government parastatals, working in government offices, in their respective professional cadre. Now, because of the way that we are programmed, suddenly somebody who is coming from a state in the north, who knows nothing about it, gets to the rank of director in his state much before you even crawl near any substantial executive position. And from there, the second name from that position of director in the north to Abuja, and he becomes your boss. And then the gap continues to widen. So we got it wrong, but we should go back and get our young men into the system. The police, the army, the navy, the foreign service. There are a lot of, I keep saying that, there are a lot of openings. But there's nobody to coordinate it. And we're here, politicking in the way we know best, which is like going around in a circle and not getting anything to show for it.
Wow. Ndi Igbo, the road not taken.
Yes.
You've shown us the road not taken as it concerns the public service.
Yes. Our children, not guiding our children, not admitting that we lost the war, and not sitting back and saying, what are we going to be in the next 50 years? That is now.
Yeah.
We didn't take that road. Let's get back to that road.
Fantastic. So now you've shown us the road not taken by accepting the reality that we lost the war. The road not taken by guiding our young people towards getting back into the federation and into the structure of government. Which other road not taken do we have?
That's interesting.
Yes.
I don't know which one now that I would think of that doesn't touch this one.
Let us think in terms of preserving our culture.
You have also opened up another vista in the whole thing. I said from the beginning or midway that the Igbos are an eclectic people.
Yes.
And that is when you come to traditional worship. I have one or two things to enjoy with you this evening, which is the Igbos hold what they have. Learn your own. But they never give up what they have.
Yes.
That is why it has been a running battle. Let me put it that way. Because if I say other, some people will say that I'm being partial.
Yeah.
It's a running battle between the church and the traditional regime.
Yeah.
They're running battle. Because it's the same people who are in the church that are also in the traditional system. That is the eclectic Igbo man.
Yes. We must now move from the painful reflections on the leadership vacuum in Igbo land that followed the loss of the Biafra War. Let us now listen to Oba Ifesinachi as he reveals the many opportunities for collective development which Ndigbo lost to the war experience, and how the many roads Ndigbo failed to take after the Civil War has continued to derail the recovery of Igbo society.
So if you know how much effort the church has put since it came to the Igbo country, you begin to understand what I'm saying. They have not been able to move further than they were. Yes, I saw some beautiful elucidating video in Ndigbo Viva, claiming that OKTT had almost gotten like 100% Christians. I saw it. Yes, I chuckled. I said, that is in name only. That is in name only. Even in that 100%, those Ebene and the Ndigbo and the Colonial, who are buying them? What are they using them for? You know what I'm saying? Yes. So what I'm saying is that they have not won that battle, that running battle. Not in spite of the odds against it. So the Igbos have done very well. And now there is the Renaissance. The man who used that word when we were growing up was Oba Ifesinachi. And I loved it, and I kept watching, and I had an opportunity to see him 1 or 2 times. So what I'm saying about that Renaissance is that there's a renaissance of the Igbos going back to traditional worship in their droves. But I have to make a point here. That is what I say, let's enjoy ourselves a little this evening. Yeah. Where they reached it is that instead of going to traditional worship, reaping its values, they now turn themselves into a caricature by the movies they are making,
Yes.
which make other people shudder against the Igbo people. And those movies they are making are not Igbo epics.
Yes.
But that's the Igbo man for you. The Igbo man will now turn to those who are castigating them and say, oh no, but it's just a movie. Oh yes, that's what because that's where the Igbo is. The Igbo wants to joke with everything. They say, oh no, but why are you taking it too seriously? After all, it's just a movie. Yeah, it's just a movie, but you're depicting yourself in a contrary way. And then you ask people not to take you in that contrary way. Oh no, you're different from what you're depicting yourself, because sometimes it's embarrassing. What you see in that video with all the chalk here and there, yes, that is not what it is all about. They are misrepresenting the Igbo tradition, and that is where I'm saying that it's the same Igbo that are shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
You understand that? So they have to wake up, because you cannot begin to tell a man who is not Igbo that this is not what you and I do every day. I don't do that. That is not what traditional worship is about.
Yes.
Traditional worship is about commune with your ancestors, and it works.
Yeah.
It works like magic. Of course, the Igbos are magical people. Oh yes, that is true.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Ndi Igbo, the road not taken.
Thank you.
And one just came to my head. Education.
In education, we've always done well in education. What happened in education, which was corrected, was like when they said you don't teach history in schools, and then it was corrected along the line. We have done well in education. The Igbo states have pumped us, and of course, we are trapped in the quota system, which allows somebody who makes all the grades to be at home, while somebody who doesn't scratch up to the beginning gets a place in the university. That's absurd. Some people have gone to court to challenge that, if you understand.
Yeah.
So, generally speaking, education-wise, the Igbos have invested everything they have to educate their children, and it hasn't stopped. So, if you talk about the role not taken in education, I said that will be minimal, and if anybody brings it up, I would like to review it from its own standpoint. Yeah, the Igbos have done well in education, and I urge them to continue to do that. I would not know whether they have closed the gap in between the male and female education. Because of course, you remember there was a surge of females only being the ones in school, while the males dropped out looking for quick money, which only a few get, and many of them getting into trouble. So I hope that that has been reversed, but you must give kudos to the Igbo-speaking states, including Anambra State, for making sure that their children continue to come tops, minus restrictions you have by a uniform federal system, which go against those who have done well, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. You've heard how missed political and institutional opportunities shaped the modern Igbo experience in Nigeria. Now, follow us into the roads not taken by Ndi Igbo to preserve our culture as we explore the battle over the Igbo souls between Christianity and traditional Igbo spirituality. Okay, there's this history about the Igbo region after the independence, the Para government, people like that. And they said the Igbo region, the southeast region, eastern region government, the economy of the region, the investment within the region, the attraction of resources into the region, that it became the fastest growing economy, one of the top economies of the world. The road not taken after the war.
After the war. Yeah, the road not taken will be very poignant there. This is very important. Unfortunately for us, we failed to heed the man who led us in the war, which is Chief Dean Ndigbo Ojukwu, former governor of Eastern Region, the former president of Biafra, as it were, whatever appellation you give to him. We failed to heed him. I'll tell you a story which I heard. I have a friend, he lives in America. He told me they were the last people who left on a plane out of Nigeria, just like I told you. After the war, one was afraid what was going to be following everybody.
Yeah.
But they were in the war. Him and his brother, younger brother, they managed to get onto a plane. And when they got to the plane, two things he told me I will reveal here. He said, a reverend father told, I don't know which one preceded each other, but a reverend father told them that there is no future for the Igbo in Nigeria that you see now. That their best bet was to move on and look for somewhere to better themselves. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, but the intriguing one is that they found their way, because they first landed in Ivory Coast. They found their way into the hotel where Chief Ndigbo Ojukwu was lodged, and got into his room, and were there in the conversation. And Ojukwu told them, because then there were rumors about some salvation coming from somewhere, to reposition the war we had lost. And he said, Ojukwu told them, all in that room, that the issue of Biafra was ended. And that they should go on and begin to go on with their lives. That there was no such resurgence of Biafra. That's talking to the man who led the war.
Wow.
So and that is the point I'm making too. I'm adding it to what I'm saying. So we didn't listen to that. I spoke about it too on a national level again, and I told you, he didn't just say it in Ivory Coast to my friends who told me. He showed it when he got pardoned from President Shagari, engineered by Chubo Kadibo, the likes of Adenu Ogusoya, and all the good people who were there, who made sure that at least we closed that chapter. He returned to Nigeria, and when he landed at Ndigbo and he was heading home, he came to Oji River, where the veterans, Biafran veterans were. He sped past. They were all there waiting for him, their commander, to come. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He sped past. That was a show and a pointer that the days of that Biafra escapade was gone. And gone for good. But you see, people fail to take these things, these cycles, and understand them. So he went on to join politics and join MPN. We all remember that.
Yeah.
Trying to get back to Nigeria. You see? So that is the issue. You cannot, resurrect something that is dead. What we would have done was to move on. So if that happened, and we found ourselves the way we were, nothing stopped us from making physical developments of our situation. Nothing stopped our government to become really, like I said, if we all got together, got into Nigeria, and then we begin to talk about your power, take your lives into your hands, we never did. So, like you said, all those things that somebody was writing the other day, I think he was more, I didn't read all of it, I must admit, but the heading, he was being sentimental about not letting Nkalago Cement die for the sake of what you're now saying, what held us all together. Now, I don't know who owns Nkalago Cement now. I don't know who has gotten the license. I don't know how far it has gone, but I chuckled. You see, but that is the road we didn't take, actually. Thank you. We didn't go back to the table to start the glorious things that our leaders of the past, who were much younger when they were in leadership, did. So we lost all that. So I think the Igbos have to learn to sustain themselves. They're not doing that enough. We have been using generators since we are here. For the past days, we have to run generator here every day. Otherwise, everything will happen in the fridge will spoil. Yeah. How many people can afford that? So that's not the way to go.
Wow. Honestly, every time you finish talking, the report comes back to my head. You wrote not take it, you wrote not take it. So many roads not take it. There's this thing that our first line leaders, Zeke, all these people, right? Compromise, coalition building, getting your neighbor, finding a way to assimilate. Are we taking that road enough now?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will tell you, that is the hallmark of the Igbo man. You see, the Igbo man excelled so much, he ran into trouble. If you understand.
Yeah.
That is what you're now saying, deal with people. There's a book I bought in 1994 at one of the airports. A book by B.O. Nwabeze.
Okay.
The Honda Professor of Law. The ultimate professor of law.
Yes.
Just what you said about what the Igbo did and how the Igbo felt about their friendliness and brotherliness with the other Nigerians, then you begin to know that much as we have not done enough, Nigeria has lost a big capital in not harnessing that Igbo friendship and brotherliness.
Yeah.
It would have not only prospered the Igbo, it would have prospered everybody who comes across the Igbo.
You have heard how the Igbo traditional values survived despite centuries of external influences and pressure. Now, stay with us and hear the very negative impact of the failure of Ndi Igbo to take the road of true cultural revival and how this failure led to the level of outrageous misrepresentations which mindless Igbo entertainment and social media programs cast upon today's perception of Igbo culture and personality.
The book is called Nigeria 1993, The Political Crisis and Solutions by Professor B.O. Nwabeze. At page 1 35. I will read this. That is on ethnicism and the crisis. He says, the Igbos, of course, have their own faults, which have made them resented and hated by others. An unbridled zest for self-improvement, an excessive drive, and aggressive competitiveness in business, especially trading, an unduly acquisitive and grasping disposition, over-assertiveness, an air of overconfidence, and of knowing it all, over-sabi, a disposition to show off success and to mock those not so successful, a lack of respectful submissiveness to persons in authority and of diplomacy, tact and discretion in dealings with people generally, a headstrong, heedless, and stubborn character. These are some of the well-known faults in the Igbo character. But lack of a sense of fraternity with other Nigerians is certainly not one of them. As Stanley Diamond observed, to inquire into the precise identity of an Igbo was to insult his sense of fraternity with other Africans in Nigeria. The Igbos are truly a democratic and fair-minded people, always prepared to concede to others the right to share equitably in what belongs to all. Their sense of fraternity and fairness always inclines them to consider others in the matter of federal appointments and the distribution of common benefits.
Wow.
So that's the answer to your question.
Wow. This is so beautiful. You don't not take it. Internal conflict management. Our forefathers, before the crisis that befell us, the Igbos had a way to manage their internal conflicts. Do you still have it?
No. It all went with the Civil War, like many other things. You see, the trouble you have in Igbo land now, if it were before the war, it would not surface. Again, Igbos had strict rules of behavior. Of course, their egalitarian nature was also accommodated. Because the Igbo man will not allow you in the village setting to come and pay for everything. They will say no, share it among the clans, and everybody will bring the chicken, whatever he has. What they understand that to do is that so you don't buy their voice.
Yes.
But if you chip in everybody equally, if you want to bring more than everybody has chipped in, that's your business. If it helps the common goal, that's your business.
Yes.
So there was a collective way that everybody was reined in and put on the line. But it all went asunder after the war, because if you remember the war, things went very bad, because the authority of the men were questioned and disrupted, and in some cases women became the breadwinners of the house. And once you have tested power, you're not bound to bring it back too quickly. So those strict codes of behavior and those punishments that followed them tended to dissipate. Another thing that comes to my mind is the matter of over-legislation by governments into matters that ought to be within the forum of native people. It has gone out of hand. So much so that in some places when you're having a village meeting, the DPO comes to sit in, or then the people from the Ministry of Chieftaincy Affairs come to listen into those things. These are the things that erode the cohesive power of villagers to mind and mend their business. So I think that intrusion, we'll have to look at it again, and it makes people not ready to follow the path of decisions taken and agreed upon. So they tend to thwart them, because maybe they have somebody in government, or they have somebody, they can get the police officer to come and change things that are happening. So things are not the way they used to be. And because in those days, age grades, women groups, the title groups, they had the last say. And up to Friday, we will not end this issue without bringing up the integrity of those who were there before and those who were there now. There were men before who would not lie. That was the Igbo trait. Because I'll tell you, my father told me that you lie out of fear, but you don't fear anybody except God. So if you remove fear from yourself, you don't need to lie. So why should a titled man, lie about facts which are known to him, which will resolve the matter? So I think that this last one is the bane of the thing that is so pervasive that they find people saying one thing today and denying it tomorrow. That's not an Igbo trait. That is new. And that is what we have to work on.
Not returning to the path of integrity.
That's it.
The road not taken.
Not minding who's also God. Like I said in the beginning. That's when the brother can come and say, no, this is where our land ends. And somebody is trying to wink at him to say, no, they're all that, I don't want to get involved. Let them have their land. So we lost that.
The roads not taken. The many roads not taken by Ndi Igbo. Oba Ifesinachi, Honorable Justice Peter Umadi, as the author takes us into a deep dive on how Igbo communities once built schools, trained their brightest children, and developed their society collectively. The question now is, are the Igbos still capable of collective development initiatives, or are they now lost in a fool's paradise of personal glory? Stay with us. We had women. Women had strong roles in Igbo society.
Yes. Yes.
Do you think that our womanhood today has gone back to that solidity that women provided?
Yes. They can, and they have. I say that with so much respect. They can and they have. Because, you see, there's something about the Igbos, again, which is an underlying strength in their collectivity. Because the Igbos are the only tribes in Nigeria that meet frequently. Igbos meet every month. So there's a joke. One of my friends says, if you get to Utualema on every Sunday, you will see different 10, 11, 15 different types of sets of women in their different Accra and blouse, going left, right, north or south. All of them going to one meeting or another. The men don't wear uniform to their meeting, but the women do. Now talking about women.
Yes.
You see them going this way, that way, all of them in their uniform. 5, 6, 10 of them. Another 5, 6, 10 will come back. Another, they are going to their meeting every month. They take whatever Sunday, either because they use market days, either Sunday cake or Sunday Afro, or Sunday pork, or Sunday Oye. whatever. So as they meet there, that collectivism of the Igbos is phenomenal. That's another area where the Igbos, that's another road we have not taken.
Not taken. Our national collectivism.
That's right. Because it's stupendous. No other tribe does it. Tell me anywhere. Yeah, I know Yorubas who are not from Lagos, who have never visited their hometown in all their lives. I'm just making an example.
Yes.
That's right. So I don't know about any Hausa or Fulani man having a meeting every month. In fact, one time in politics, I remember, during the SDP NRC time, and we were all at the old Sheraton Hotel, now turned into Abuja Hotel or something there, I remember.
Yeah.
I had a very good friend from the north, and he would say to me, all of you every time meeting. Because if you go to those caucus, it's from one meeting to another. One powerhouse to another powerhouse. Let me not call names. This man is calling the meeting here. Then he finishes. There's another meeting. And the man says meeting. They don't meet with us. They may be more effective.
Yes.
Because there's a central point of somebody who tells them what to do. Mm-hmm. And then again, that factors into what we're saying today.
Yes.
The man doesn't take that. And you can't get him to take that. And that when he doesn't take that, you begin to say that he's rebellious. No. When you ask, you say, where was it discussed? Mm-hmm. Who? Where is it discussed? Well, that is the point. Yes. He doesn't agree.
You are who discussed it.
Yes.
Where? In whose house?
And what was the decision? No, that is not true. I said. So, but we have to harness that.
Yeah.
Because even at that, there's some meeting. So, talking about women, yes, they have come back, and I tell you this, and since after the war, and this is wonderful, the women have been very supportive. And in fact, there's no way that you realize the strength of the Igbo women than when you study widowhood in Igbo land. And you find out what widows have done single-handedly to see their children through after the loss of their spouse.
Wow.
Yes.
Very important point.
Yeah, very, very much so. You must understand that. And they never give up. That's something that happened. They mourn it, but then all their strength, all their energy is given to the family. And many of the prosperous, rich, well-doing men and women you find that have gone through that. Just for their widowed mother standing by them, and that is phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Other people have to borrow a leaf from that.
Wow. Igbo people are today confronted with the challenges of living in denial, absence of unity, and effective leadership. Yet, they are very possessed with a resilient spirit of justice, fairness, and pursuit of developments. Now, listen to Oba Ifesinachi as he shares his advice to Ndi Igbo about strategy, unity, and the future. Before the war, communities invested in their brilliant ones. Exceptional kids. They come together, they contribute money, and they trade this one. After the war, all man on his own. Is this something that you think we can reinvent?
Yes. In those days, yes, it was necessary for them to do that. Later on, it wasn't catching on now because, like you said, they got together to train someone, and they collected money to do that, up to that point. But when you now have every family having somebody to go to school, that has to drop.
Yeah, okay. So
that has to drop.
Demand overwhelm that one.
Yes, that has to drop. So everybody now has his own canoe to paddle, how to get his own child into school. So that's why it dropped, because the numbers now increase, and then there was no meeting point to collect to do for A or B or C. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that one fizzled out. So now what you now have is assistance coming from nuclear families, from families to help people grow, but not in collective anymore. And don't forget that it was such that collective training was such, telling you the gap and the paucity of the people to benefit from that, because they will train you, send you overseas, wait for you to do maybe 4 years, 5 years there, and come with their retinue to receive you when you arrive.
Yeah.
Yes, with all the dance, and you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so on and so forth. So you see that even at that time, there were fewer people to engage in that. But soon as everybody in the family had somebody who could go to school, it became a different thing altogether.
Yeah. Community schools. Community halls, community projects. Are we still there?
Yeah, like you said, it struck me. I'm happy that's a follow-up to what we are doing, because in fact that replaced that single sponsorship.
Yes.
And that is what you must doff your hat for the Igbo for, because 90% of the schools we found around there at that time were done by communities. Now, the missionaries came and filled up the gaps, but the missionary did not hang in the air. The land belonged to the communities, and they donated them freely. The buildings were built by them, by their contributions, and that spread across everywhere. Then you begin to go miles inside the villages, begins to do one community school or another, boys and girls, and then encouraging their people to go to school. So that was another phenomenal strike that people did. And many of them are surviving. Many of them gave rise to many of us who are around here. Yes.
Well, it seems to me that we have lost that road too.
Well, the position now to me is that it may not be as it used to be before, but okay, take my own community. I don't think there's any need.
We have been maintaining those schools.
Yes, I'll tell you something. Let me push you out of there, because even the universities that we attended to are dilapidated. You must have heard about that.
Everything is gone.
They are dilapidated. You can't get into the toilets of the university. We passed out in 1979. You can't get into their toilets today. And that's a shame. So, but now you see things occasionally in the social media of past students coming together to renovate an annex of, say, a law faculty or whatever other faculty. People are donating there, to do things that way. But, pupils are still being taught under trees in Nigeria today. And that's shameful. Yeah, most of the primary schools are dilapidated. And then, but like I said, you are correct there. There doesn't seem to be a previous enthusiasm to take care about things concerning schools for the people in the community. No, that has waned. And I don't know, the reason of that may also be connected, it may be connected to the corruption in governments. Yeah. When people think that governments are not doing enough with what they have, or that they should have directed what they have better, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then people begin to get more personal about their spending. Yes, because the government have no reason to have wind blowing off roofs of schools and not doing anything about them. The government have no business of not housing primary school students all over the country with the type of money we have. So, I mean, that has to be considered.
Now you have a final word on Ndi Igbo, the road not traveled.
Yes, my advice to Ndi Igbo is to be less emotional about how they get about public discussions. And I'm happy I remember what I'm just going to say now, and it's important to me. I urge Ndi Igbo not to put all their eggs in one basket. Yes, spread your stake. And like Professor Wabeze have said, the Igbo man is mirrored in another man who is his neighbor. You know what I'm saying? So don't place all your bets in one place. Suppose you lose. So stop being emotional. Stop feeling like anybody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. You have the resolve and the capacity to engage the country, both in getting the right jobs, both in doing the right things, and partnering with others, get what you deserve. But you can only do that if you spread your bets. Stop placing all your eggs in one basket.
Fantastic. Oba. This has been wonderful. Key takeaways from this interview. 1. Igbo people are not a rebellious people. Ndi Igbo are not rebellious. The Igbo culture simply encourages questioning leadership and demanding that leaders consult and offer logical explanations for their initiatives before expecting obedience and followership. This is what has been misunderstood as rebellion by the British and now by Nigeria. 2. Igbo civilization is based on natural law. Traditional Igbo philosophy is built on the belief that every action has consequences. What you sow is what you reap. Before colonial influence, Igbo society depended on natural laws, morality, and ancestral wisdom to guide social behavior, both within the Igbo society and in building effective collaboration with other human communities the Igbo encountered. 3. The Nigerian Civil War disrupted Igbo leadership seriously. According to Honorable Mahdi, the war created a leadership vacuum that left generations of Igbo youth without coordinated guidance, while the youths live in daily denial of the loss of the Biafran War. It is time for Ndi Igbo to listen to late Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, Ikemba, president of the defunct Republic of Biafra, and accept that we lost the Biafran War. It is time to follow Ojukwu's advice and put the loss behind us and build ourselves back into Nigeria. 4. Many opportunities after the war were missed. A new Igbo leadership failed to emerge, and those currently leading the Igbo people have failed to strategically reintegrate Ndi Igbo into Nigerian institutions such as the army, the civil service, and diplomatic corps. 5. The Igbo cultural strength lies in collectivism. Age grades, women's association, and community meetings created a powerful system of social cohesion and development. These systems need to continue to be reinvigorated so that the collective responsibility for development among the Igbo can be modernized and applied to our circumstances today. Number 6. Igbo women played critical roles in post-war survival. Widowed mothers and women groups became pillars of resilience, raising children and rebuilding families after the war. Today's Igbo communities must not allow the resurgence of feminine strength to become a danger to family cohesion in Igbo land. The Igbo society must continue to strengthen and celebrate our women. Number 7, the future of Ndi Igbo requires strategic engagement. Instead of continued emotional reactions, Ndi Igbo must now strategically spread their influence, collaborate with others, and participate fully in national system development. The era of isolation and complaining must be over. Honorable Mahdi insists that it is time to build Nigeria with the rest of Nigerians. Here, in Ndi Igbo Viva, the digital palace for the global Igbo spirit, we urge Ndi Igbo to learn from those moments in history when we were down, and to always remember that we are a magical people. We must now garner our strengths and recommit ourselves to nation building. Now, it's time to go to the comment section to like, comment, share, subscribe, and give your thoughts on how Ndi Igbo will rebuild the leadership needed to restore the great Igbo society which our ancestors bequeathed to us. The good news in Ndi Igbo Viva is that we now have over 6,600 subscribers and about 97,000 views. Thank you for continuing to respond to my invitation for you to invite the over 70 million Igbos living all over the world to this fountain of Igbo wisdom. Let us move to 100,000 views and 10,000 subscribers. See you in the next episode.